Hey everybody! So in this video, I'm going to talk about how to save data off. Basically, right, when we play the game, every time we play, if we go and collect things, and then I come and play again, I'm right back at 0. And so we want to be able to, save data from time to time and level to level. So what we're going to do is we're going to need a new blueprint class. So if you open your content drawer and go to where you're storing them, we're going to go to Blueprint Class and go down to All Classes, and you're going to type in, Game, Save Game. And what Save Game is just a Blueprint class for saving data to a file. So it's just going to allow us to save and read data from a file. So Save Game. And we're going to double click that to edit it. Now in this, what we need to do is first, we have a couple things we're going to need to do. We're going to need to have the data that we're going to save off, and then some ways to do that. So the first thing is we want a variable, right? We have data out there that we are collecting and that we want to then save it off. So we're just going to call this save collected. And it was an integer, right, that we were collecting. So if we go and look, I believe we have it on the third person blueprint character. We have collected here. And so that's what we want to save off. So you're going to go back to the third person. And so this is where the data is that we want to save off. So this is where we're going to need to also save the data off and load the data. So what we're going to do is in the third person character, we're going to add a function. So if you remember, right, so this is a function, right, where you have inputs, it does something, and outputs. This particular one, right, creates a widget. So we want to make specific ones for saving the data off and then loading the data from the save file. So we're going to click add, and you'll notice we have options for adding other things, like, right, so we can add another variable. But we're going to add a function. So we're going to add a function, and we're going to call it fSaveData. And so this is just going to be one that we're going to be making. It's a custom function to save off the data. So what we want to do is we want to save it off. And the way that they do this is there's a slot that you can save. So, but you have to first see if it exists. Does save game exist? And so this is a function that's pre-built, a blueprint, and we're checking to see if it exists. Now you're going to put like your first name. So I'll put my first name here. So Jen. So we're going to see, does that data slot exist? If it does exist, so then that means you're going to get a true false, right? So either it does exist or it doesn't exist. If it does exist, so either way, we need something that's going to check that, which hopefully you remember is called a branch in here. It's usually an if-else statement. So if true, it's going to do something, and if it's false, it's going to do something. So if it's true, right, and we can minimize that a little bit just so we can see more of the screen. If this data exists, then we're good, and then we don't need to like create it, right? So, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to save the data off into a file. So if that slot exists, that means that file exists, so we don't need to create it. So that means we just want to load that data. So load game from slot. And if it doesn't exist, then we need to create game. And so either way, what we're doing, right, is we need to have data that it's going to save off. And we want this name to match here in the load game. So it's going to be Jen. So that way, right, it's the same data that we're making sure, like, check to see if it exists. If it exists, we're going to load the data. If it doesn't exist, we're going to create a new one. and it's going to be of our BP game save type. And now what we need to, so that's that. Now we need to save that data into a temporary file, right? Or temporary thing that we can be storing off. So what I'm going to do is right click here and say promote to variable. You'll see it makes a variable down here that this is save game data, right? So we're going to rename this to save reference, REF. And so that's just saying we're collecting the data that is in this slot and making it into a reference. And so we could also do the same thing, and I'm going to, because I need that same data for this create save game name down here, and I can just drag it out and say save or set the data, right? Because that's what we're doing, is we're saving off the data. So now that we've done that, where we've either loaded the data or we've created the data, we need to send that data back to our BP save data, save game. So, because this is what we're trying to do, right, is we're trying to update the save game data. And we could update them both with, we don't need to do this casting again. We could have it all be on the same one. But you can see here, right, that we're basically sending all of this data back to the save game blueprint that we made. And we specifically want to, right, we want to save the collected, right? That is the save collected is what we created on that one of the data that we want to save. And so we want this collected, we want to get collected and add that to there. So that is the way we're going to send the data from this third person character to our blueprint save game data, which is actually this value here that we're going to then save off into the file. So we had to get it from the third person because that's where the data is stored, put it onto the save game class, and then send that to the file that we're saving it in. That's the process that we're doing. And so now we actually need to, so all we've done so far is just go and see if the slot exists, figure it out that we wanted to put this, got our value that we wanted to put in there, and now we want to actually save game data, save game to slot. And so we're going to, the slot is Jen, right? So it'll be your name or whatever you want to call it. And now we also need this, right? We had the save reference here, right? We still need that as well, which we could just pull from here. We'll get save reference because we need another input into this. And so now we can try compiling. See, we got everything. We could make sure we save everything. So that was just the save one. In the next video, I will do the load data.